Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to the channel for the very first time if you're brand new here, and thank you so much for joining me today for our pick a card reading. And our topic today is one I haven't touched on, and I think in about over a year. I was kind of curious about what should we cover next. I was looking through some of my old videos, and one that came up was solving a mystery, and I thought, you know what, that would be really fun to revisit again. So, of course, as you can tell by the title you just clicked on, our topic today is you've been asking why. Here's your answer: solving a mystery in your life. So as we shuffle the cards here and ask Spirit to guide us to the right pile leaders, I want you to think of a mystery you have in mind. Now, this could be something from the past that you want an answer to, something from the present going on right now that you want an answer to, or of course, even the future. Like, will I get that job? Or will I get that scholarship? Or, you know, fill in the gaps here. You know what question you want to ask, right? So let's pick our pile leaders. Okay, there's pile number 1. We'll reveal the cards in a moment here after we're done selecting. There is pile 2. And pile number 3. Okay, so for pile number 1, first up to bat on the left here, your pile leader is Standstill. And for pile number 2 in the middle, your leader today is, well, speaking of leadership. Beautiful. And last but not least, for our wonderful pile number 3 over here on the right, your pile leader is going forward. So as I always say, you're welcome to pause on this part of the reading, of course, if you need more time to decide. If you're new to pick a card readings, I like to guide us through what I call a meditative moment here. It's just my little suggestion on how to pick a pile. So close your eyes and take in a deep cleansing breath. Imagine breathing light into your lungs as you do so. Then hold your breath for just a few moments. And then when you breathe it back out again and open your eyes, where are they drawn most first? What feels right in your gut, or sometimes we call it in your solar plexus. Sometimes, we just call it intuition. And that is the pile I recommend you choose. But whatever your method, you can pick it any way you want. You can drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Click on the timestamp for your pile, and I'll see you in our little chat about solving the mystery on your mind. Bye. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome to your Solving a Mystery Pick a Card reading for today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the very beautiful image of Standstill with, I don't know exactly what kind of bird this is. It might be a flamingo, technically. Obviously, it looks like it's in a swamp or a bayou. But even so, feel free to chime down in the comments down below if you do know what bird it is. Very beautiful, even without its name. So we'll set Standstill over here to the left to begin. And we're also going to start with 2 tarot decks today. We're using the Pastoral Tarot and the Tarot of the Golden Wheel to glean more insight for me and you as the, well, tarot reader and the viewer on what's going on here from the beginning of your question to the outcome. So Spirit, please come forward and explain more. And I want to apologize in advance if I do cough a bit at sometimes, pile 1, because I do, actually it's one of the reasons why we didn't have a reading last Sunday. From the time that this was uploaded, I had kind of like a flu, but it was very low on respiratory symptoms, except when I breathe deeply, then I tend to have to cough. So I just apologize in advance if I do cough. But yes, that's why we didn't have a reading on Sunday, because I was very, very indisposed in bed. So thank you for your patience for everyone that saw my community post on that. Okay, let's grab your 5 tarot cards here. Yes. Very odd sickness. It's like a flu without respiratory symptoms for the most part. Also in June, which is a weird time of year to get sick, but I did, so. And there is number 5. Let's unveil the beginning cards for you, pile 1. Enough about me. now about your situation. So looking at your Pastoral Tarot today, you received the 8 of Swords. Now, pretty much, and this is one of the reasons I really love this Pastoral Tarot, you can tell exactly what the card is about just looking. We have a woman caught in barbed wire. We have some kind of bird. It looks like I'm not sure what kind, some songbird of some sort, also caught in the barbed wire. And so that represents the meaning of feeling trapped in some way, because that's precisely what the 8 of Swords means. However, oftentimes it can be a mental trapping of some sort. So I don't know if you've been really anxious or worried about something recently, or if this was a past mystery that we're trying to solve here. At the time, you were really just kind of caught in mental barbed wire, like you didn't know exactly which way to go to even like begin to think what the answer might have been. Like, say it had been a relationship that ended in a mysterious way and you're just like, I don't even know. Or, you know, maybe you wondered why you felt trapped with something. Okay. That's another way that can manifest. Or it could have been that the situation at hand in general was a feeling of entrapment. Okay. So we'll set that one up here. And let's unveil your other tarot cards. We have the 8 of Pentacles, which tends to deal with being hard at work on something. We see a blacksmith hammering away, forging the wheels. All right, so could have been related to career or finances, but let's keep seeing the whole picture. We have the 7 of Cups reversed, okay, related probably to some sort of dream of yours, something that you were trying to attain or trying to ascertain what perhaps goal you were going for. That's another way you can see the 7 of Cups reversed. Or it can also mean seeing the reality of a goal. Like maybe you were trying to go after something and then it's like you realized it was more of a golden cage than you thought, or there was something about it more constricting than you expected it to be. Then we have the heart of the matter being the Ace of Wands. Yes, a spark of passion, especially regarding the things that we're ambitious or passionate about. Okay, could also represent an opportunity of some sort. Now, I do have to remember that we're reading for potentially, depending on your specific question, pile 1, past, present, and future. So bear with me if I do take extra time to kind of explain it for each different possibility. And then we have another Pentacles. Okay, 9 of Pentacles, reaping the fruits of your labor. Just like the woman here in the orchard looking at the fruit on the tree or the wheels on the tree. And last but not least, we have, well, beautiful, we've got the 9 of Swords reversed as the outcome, which means relieving anxiety. So it's very funny. We have, and this is the reason why I pulled this card, I don't think I explained this earlier, pile 1. The 8 of Swords as the card representing how you felt in the situation at hand regarding this mystery. The feeling of being trapped, the feeling of, oh God, I'm stuck, you know, those types of sensations. And then as your outcome, you have the next card in the Suit of Swords reversed. Releasing anxieties. I'm no longer trapped. I feel no longer stuck. Okay, so for those of you where this is a present mystery you're trying to solve or a future mystery you're trying to solve, whatever it is in terms of what is making you feel trapped or is making you feel anxious, the outcome of the situation is you're going to feel release from those negative emotions. Okay, so that tells you right off the bat, pile 1, this is going to end in a positive way for you if this is present or a future mystery you're trying to solve. Okay, like something you're trying to figure out now or something you're asking a question about for the future. If this is a past mystery you're trying to solve, I would read that as either you or the other person or people in the outcome or in the situation. The reason why something happened is because they were trying to relieve stress in the end. Okay, they were trying to relieve a feeling of feeling trapped. That's how I would read that. Of feeling anxious, of feeling mental stress, things like that. And, you know, it's interesting because you were drawn to, for your pile leader, the card of Standstill. You know, when we really think of, when we think of like marshy, kind of swampy, bayou type biomes, we think of them as being very still, like, oh, the water seems really still. We think of them as kind of mucky and muddy, but really there is a lot of activity going on in those areas, lots of animals, like at least where I live, we have a lot of swamps. Okay, so frogs, fish, sometimes if the water's deep enough, of course, a lot of birds, just like what I think is this flamingo here. Correct me if I'm wrong again in the comments if that's not a flamingo, but So really it's about still waters run deep, is how I read that card. Just like the marsh. We might think nothing's going on because it looks like it's at a standstill, but really it's not. So another aspect of the solving of this mystery in your mind, no matter what time frame you're looking at, past, present, future, is there's something that's been going on underneath the surface. It looked like it was quite still, or maybe even if you felt stuck, like we said with the Eight of Swords, it felt like nothing was moving, but things are going to move, or they did, in ways that you don't or didn't expect, okay? So yeah, looking at your other cards here, pile 1, there's that element of having been working hard at something, okay? Realizing dreams from reality with the Seven of Cups reversed, and then yes, Ace of Wands here in the middle is all about either an opportunity with our passions or an opportunity with something that it's like a spark of something with our creativity as well, especially with being the fire suit. So if this is a present future question mystery, okay? Yes, we talked about you're going to get an outcome of relieving anxiety in the end, which is fantastic, but I also see if that's the case, you're going to get an opportunity as well here pretty soon if you have not already, because the Ace of Wands is in the present position, the Heart of the Matter card in the middle. That's how I read my spread. And what that means is that maybe what you've been feeling kind of trapped with is like a feeling of, like, say it's job related, where you're like, man, I've been trying to interview, I'm trying to get this job or this opportunity, and it just feels like you're stuck. You're like, oh my God, I feel like I can't get out of this prison of a lack of opportunity, okay? That means that opportunity is coming, and with the Nine of Pentacles in the near future, reaping the fruits of your labor. You've planted the orchard, you're going to reap the fruit. Your hard work here in the Eight of Pentacles that started all of this is going to pay off, okay? And maybe even, with that Seven of Cups reversed being just before this, maybe up leading to this point, you've been feeling like, man, is this really the right direction to go? Is this really what I want? That's a really good question to ask when the Seven of Cups reversed comes up, is a realization of, is this what I want? So maybe you've been kind of miring in about some uncertainty. You've been kind of like, I don't know, like maybe this isn't the right path for me. I mean, I've been working so hard here. I've been the blacksmith forging away at something. But at the same time, if I'm not reaping the fruits of my labor, then really is this meant for me? That's what I see with these two cards next to each other. But then bam, present tense, present position, Ace of Wands, opportunity comes forward, a spark is given, okay, like a spark starts a flame. You've built the tinder up, you've built up the little, I can't remember exactly what you call it when you build a campfire, but the little peaks of the logs, right? You're ready. All you need is someone to give you a match, and that's exactly what the Ace of Wands is someone saying, here you go, here's your match. Then you can start the flame, reap the fruits of your labor, relieve your anxieties. If this is present or future. If this is past, and you're asking maybe why somebody did something, or you're asking maybe like why something didn't work out, of course, like I always say, extrapolate that to your situation. Take what I say and apply it to the question you're asking, the mystery you're trying to solve. I would say it's like some sort of situation where, let me think through for just a moment. I don't know if it's like someone seemed like they were really dedicated to something, pile 1, for those of you, this is past question. But it's like they realized after working really hard on something that they weren't exactly happy, or it wasn't exactly what they were looking for. So like, say if this was like a past relationship and you're wondering why it didn't work out, be it romantic or platonic, it's very possible, pile 1, that it's like and maybe this is why it seems like still waters run deep. It was like nothing seemed to be going on the surface, but deep down there was a lot of different like thinking and planning that this person maybe didn't tell you, or a group of people didn't tell you. And so it's like on the surface, they looked like that Eight of Pentacles blacksmith working hard, but deep down they were like, I don't know, is this really what I want? And then a new opportunity came in terms of passion, in terms of creativity or ambition. Okay. And they thought, well, that direction is where I'm going to get the most fruits of my labor. And in the end, they thought it's going to relieve my anxiety if this is like an other person. Okay, if this is a mystery in the past about yourself, for example, pile 1, like maybe you're asking like, why didn't I get that job or that promotion? Just as an example, I would read that for that particular situation as you put in the hard work. It wasn't that you didn't earn it or that you didn't deserve it. It's just that, say, the hiring manager realized, it's almost like they put out an ad and it's like they had people interview and then they realized afterwards, well, wait a minute, that's not exactly like what we advertise isn't exactly what we want. Maybe we need to kind of finesse that, make that a bit more finer tuned. But it's like they'd already interviewed people, maybe including you, and then, or maybe like one other candidate did have that requirement that they didn't really necessarily advertise, and so they were given the opportunity. Okay, that's how I'd read it for that situation. So, of course, as I said, always kind of expand it to your particular mystery, but that's how I would read it for generally kind of different situations that might apply to all of you. Okay. So I also, of course, have some oracle cards that will give us some advice as well as just generally more details. I want to draw the Citadel Oracle. Let's do that first. Spirit, anything else you want to say about this situation, this mystery, the answer? Thank you. Excuse me. We have the pathless with the element of earth, difficult decisions and lack of direction. What was I just saying, pile 1? Like I said, with for those of you, this is like past, and say with the example of it having been like a hiring manager rejecting you but hire someone else that also interviewed for the same position. It's like lack of direction. They're like, they realized afterwards, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I want, but they didn't define that beforehand. Of course, like I said, you can also, if this is like a present or a future question you're asking, it could be that maybe if you're seeing a delay in the thing that you're trying to look for or attain, is because whoever is the gatekeeper to the thing that you're looking for, I mean, it's just like that 7 of Cups. It's literally reversed. It's like a lack of direction, okay? Or it's like the 7 of Cups reversed is fixing a lack of direction when it comes to our goals and our dreams. And then 2 with the pathless with difficult decisions. Like, it's a really hard choice. So if you're waiting on something, pile 1, the reason why you've been made to wait so long is because someone's having a difficult time making a choice. Someone's being indecisive. It could be that maybe if it is like another person you're waiting for, or like a group that you're waiting for feedback from, that perhaps like they have so many different choices to make or opportunities that they could take that they're just not sure that they want to take the route that, or the path that you have, or like that would lead to you. Okay, so that might be one way. Excuse me, there's that cough. And so it's just like the I don't know, it's like they're walking without a compass, or like same thing too, maybe if it's like a self mystery, like you're asking yourself like, well, how come I feel this way? Then the answer would be in that situation, like you need to fine tune your direction more about what you really want. And that's when the opportunity and the fruits of your labor and the lessened anxiety will move in. Okay, so there's an element there for all of you about defining what it is, what we really want. Or if this is a mystery about someone else, this is the struggle that they're having, or they did have in the past tense. Okay, and then let's grab your Soul Mirror Oracle. So I will say, though, it seems like it kind of worked out in the end no matter what, though, or it will if this is more future tense for you, pile 1. It was, like, better for all parties involved for it to not have worked out, it feels like. Like, it just was less stress for everybody on each side. Like, it wouldn't have been, ooh, interesting, we have forgiveness. You know, it's interesting, we've got the songbird again, but this time it's free instead of stuck in the barbed wire. A little bit of a synchronicity there. Forgiveness, withholding, and releasing. And I wonder what kind of bird that is. It almost looks like a swallow, or it's got kind of like the fin tails. Not much exactly like this bird, but both songbirds. And so it's like forgiveness. Two, if you thought maybe there was any resentment involved, if this is past tense, pile 1, I think you've been forgiven. That's why this card came up. Same thing too, you know, it could have been part of the answer was like they were just letting go of something. They just wanted something to be free, like this hand letting go of this bird because it was trapped before there in the barbed wire of the Eight of Swords that we first pulled out. Lots of bird symbolism, too, in your reading. I mean, we have, of course, I think it's a flamingo here, and then we have the rooster in the Ace of Wands. But then we also have a rooster in the Nine of Pentacles, and then we have the songbirds in both the Eight of Swords and the Forgiveness Oracle card. So there's a lot about birds and being let free, a lot about air element too, because we always associate birds with air, okay? Which we do see that with the swords cards too, because that is the air suit in tarot. And the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, air is often the element of communication. It's the element of truth as well. So I almost wonder if it's also the answer to this mystery is because someone was hiding the truth about something, maybe with that lack of goal or direction. They just didn't want to be honest that they didn't really know what they wanted, or currently they don't know what they want, and then they finalize that, and then blessings flow from there. But something along those lines, okay? And then we see, withholding and releasing. So maybe some of you are too waiting on something to be released that's been withheld from you, in which case that's like that trap energy that we saw there with the Eight of Swords. And then, of course, that will also be opened here in the future, if that's what you're looking for. I'm trying to read it for other situations that come up intuitively. But just in general, pile 1, to answer, you know, all of you in a very, like, general way. And like I said, apply it to your question that you asked here at the very beginning. Whatever was trapped will be freed. That's point number 1. Part of the issue was a lack of direction or not being sure what someone wanted, be it yourself or somebody else, and trying to finalize that more. And part of it, too, was an opportunity came along or will come along that lets people reap the fruits of their labor, be it yourself or others, and reduces anxiety in the end. The freeing of being stuck, like the bird was stuck here and then was released in your oracle card over here. And part of the reason why maybe you didn't, like, you haven't been hearing anything back, or at the time it felt like nobody or this person was not being honest about how they really felt deep inside, was because, I mean, sometimes maybe they didn't even know, or they don't know what they really wanted deep down themselves. Sometimes people can mislead us on accident just because they don't really even know where they're going. They think, well, I'll just walk in this direction. Well, I think that's great. Okay, we'll go over here, la-di-da. Like, that looks like a nice meadow to go have a picnic on. They just go off in that direction, and they get there and they realize, oh, this is actually a swamp and not a meadow, and there's water here, and I can't put my picnic blanket down on this particular patch because everything's going to get wet. And so they realize, well, this isn't what I want. Maybe I'll go over there into the woods instead. So it's like, 2, trying to finalize and really, what's the word? Just key into what they really desire deep down. Or same thing too, it could apply to you as well. What do you really want deep down? That might also be a question to ask yourself if you're kind of wanting some direction as well. Okay. So that was a reading for today about solving the mystery on your mind. Of course, if you liked the video, if it helped you, if it resonated, please like the video itself. Please comment down below your story, or if you do know what bird this is, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not a flamingo. And of course, I always say comment, because sharing your story also helps other people in our community, especially those who share your pile with you. It's always good to talk to other people who are in similar situations, because sometimes they provide insights that you don't, or vice versa. You might provide insights that may help them. And of course, too, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. That helps support the channel, helps support me and the dream of this channel alive in providing spiritual healing to people, and keeps the channel going in the future in terms of providing more free readings for both you and others. So as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, Pile 1, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, pile number 2. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about solving the mystery on your mind. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the very beautiful card of leadership for your pile leader, the polar bear, underneath the bright stars. Not sure quite what star that is. I can't see any constellations, but if I had to take a guess, probably Polaris, the North Star. Finding true direction, or of course, being the direction people go in as the leader of something, hence leadership. So we'll put this card over here to the left to begin. And we're actually going to start with drawing 2 different tarot decks, Pastoral Tarot and the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. And I didn't mention this in the intro, but I do want to apologize if I do cough at any point. I'm actually kind of recovering from a sickness. That's part of why we didn't have a reading on Sunday. Oddly, during June, I got kind of sick here, and it's a very strange kind of flu where I didn't really have a lot of respiratory symptoms, except when I breathe deeply, I tend to cough. So, just want to apologize in advance. It's a very strange kind of flu, I think it was, but enough about me. Let's talk about you and draw your tarot cards here. So thinking about the mystery on your mind. Excuse me. So these cards will help give us more context on what it is you're asking about for both me as the tarot reader as well as a bit of a trajectory as the outcome. Of course, though I know some of you might be asking to solve a mystery from the past, in which case the cards will be a representation of explaining more details on perhaps how something turned out if you don't know how it turned out. Or, you know, it could be maybe you're asking about how someone felt, especially if it's, say, a relationship-related question. I will try to read for everybody watching this, depending on timing with past, present, future, as well as give examples for different kinds of ways these might apply. So, without further ado, for your Pastoral Tarot, you have the 4 of Pentacles. We have, it looks like a farmer maintaining his hay bales here, which is very, it's one of the reasons I really love this particular deck, because the Pastoral Tarot is fantastic at showing what the card means. 4 of Pentacles is all about reserving our resources, okay? Making hay while the sun shines, holding things, especially when it comes to money or career, because Pentacles is the Earth suit in Tarot, which is all about those things, money, finances, career, etc. Sometimes health in the home. So I tend to draw this card when I use this deck as a representation of you in the situation that you're asking about, okay? So what I see here, pile 2, is this situation that you're asking about is you either were or currently are or will be in a situation where it's like you maybe wondered if you should have invested more in something, or you wondered why you weren't given more of something. Okay, maybe you are almost asking how something would have turned out had you not withheld your money in some way, or had you gone after that career goal. You know, I know that's a bit nebulous at this point. Of course, your other tarot cards will provide more details, more nitty-gritty things, but that is what I'm seeing here with that 4 of Pentacles. Even sometimes it can be called like the Scrooge card, because sometimes a Scrooge, right, is someone who's very like penny pinching with their money. Maybe you were even wondering like why you didn't get a certain amount of money, so that could have been like maybe you were waiting on a scholarship or for finances to be released to you, like say like an inheritance or insurance, something along those lines. Of course, for those of you, this is like present and future tense. Maybe you're even kind of waiting for this money right now, even in ways where you know, maybe it's related to your job. You're hoping, you're asking, you know, to answer the mystery of, will I get that promotion? Will I get that job? Things like that. So let's look at your other cards, of course, to get more details. We have the 7 of Wands here reversed. We have the boy defending himself from the pack of wolves. But of course, you got that reversed. So sometimes a 7 of Wands reversed can represent a situation, especially as the inciting incident card, I like to call the very first one, where we felt like we couldn't defend what we needed to, like the boy losing to the pack of wolves, for an example, just with that imagery. or feeling like we were overwhelmed, or feeling like we don't have the strength to defend our own, okay? Especially in conjunction with the leadership card. I almost wonder if maybe part of this mystery was you had authority in some way, but like someone kept trying to overstep your boundaries, or someone kept trying to, or currently is, questioning your authority, questioning the way that you're running things. Okay. Let's keep going. We have the Four of Cups reversed. Can mean paying attention to something, noticing something that's being given to us. Maybe you didn't even notice it at first, and then you realize, I'm really having to defend myself a lot. I'm really having to, I feel like I'm surrounded on all sides. Like, maybe you just didn't kind of expect it at first, and then this pattern started forming, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Because the Four of Cups reversed is the energy of something having happened to us that we finally notice. We're like, oh. Like, all of a sudden, I've been paying attention to these 3 cups over here, and then there's this 1 cup behind me, and then turn around. Oh, that's been there all along. Why didn't I notice that? Okay, that's the energy of the Four of Cups reversed. Interesting how that ties with the Four of Pentacles. We'll see. Then we've got the Star reversed. Okay, losing hope or faith in something. Could be you lost hope or faith in yourself. Very interestingly, we have the Star, literally the card, and then also we talked about Polaris here with your pile leader in the very beginning. So losing faith in your own leadership, losing faith in your own authority, or losing faith in general, or hope, or, in the dream that you're trying to achieve, or you were at the time. You just lost hope, lost faith. You're like, I don't know, this might not be the thing for me anymore. I don't know. Okay. Then we've got the Nine of Swords. We have anxiety, just like 9 swords hanging over your head. Stress and worry. Literally the card of anxiety, as I said. So not fun times, very obviously. And then we've got the Moon as the outcome. What an interesting card for the outcome. We've got the Wolf again. The Wolf is popping up again. A lot of Arctic animals here. I'm seeing, I know wolves aren't technically always Arctic. They can be boreal too. But, of course we have the polar bear, and we have a white wolf in an Arctic scene, or kind of boreal here in the Moon. So what is that with North? Being in the cold, feeling like it's not warm. It's like the situation was not giving you the warm fuzzies whatsoever, which is, kind of obvious here with the Nine of Swords, because literally, even look at the man here in the Nine of Swords. He's in an Arctic situation. He's barefoot in the snow. Not fun. So it's like you weren't, I almost wonder if part of this is you weren't given the resources, too, that you needed, hence the Four of Pentacles, to achieve what you needed to do, and that's why you lost hope or faith in this thing. I don't know if it's like you left a company, or left a project, or a group of people that at first you thought it was just the bee's knees, the greatest thing ever, and then the cracks started to show with that Four of Cups reversed, and then the loss of hope or faith here. Or if this is the present tense for your mystery pile too, it's like you're finally at the point here with the Star in the present position of, now I've lost my hope or my faith in this thing, and then so you're fearing here in the future, I'm just going to be anxious about this. It's just going to be like swords hanging over my head the whole time. And then we have the outcome of the Moon. I didn't even talk about the Moon yet. And the Moon pile number 2 is all about illusions. Things not being what they seem. Okay, so we actually have kind of 2 cards with that element in this reading. A little bit with the Four of Cups reversed, because like I said, that's finally noticing something that's been there all along. We just didn't turn to look at it. We were like, oh, wait a minute. That's a thing. And then the Moon is all about, yes, illusions. Realizing things. Although with it being upright as the outcome card, that tells me the outcome is an illusion maintained. Okay, so for those of you where this is a past mystery you're trying to solve, the final answer of why that happened, or how, or kind of what went down, was an outcome of an illusion maintained. Someone didn't see the truth of something. Okay? They were fooled. That's what the Moon means. You've been fooled. Something's not what it seems. Okay? If this is a mystery you're trying to solve with the present or the future, currently on the trajectory you're on, because this is just a snapshot of timeline here. Things can change. But on the path you're on right now, the outcome is an illusion maintained, something not being what it seems. Okay, so I don't know if maybe you're trying to currently deny that something is worse than you think it is, or you're trying to still, like, it's just this energy of, like, needing more. I need more. I need to reserve more. I need to preserve more things with the Four of Pentacles, you know, and then so we have that leadership element too with literally that's the card you got for your pilot or you chose. Even though it's like all these signs are popping up that you're losing faith in this thing, or, you know, there's something about it you didn't notice in the first place with the Four of Cups reversed. Excuse me one moment, I'm going to cough. Excuse me. And so on the path you're on, it's like it still leads to anxiety. It still leads to an illusion maintained. So, of course, we'll see more details with the Oracle cards I'm going to pull, pile 2, but if I had to give you a final answer, it's like the path forward, if you go as you're going, leads to not the greatest outcome. Okay. You're currently miring in the lack of hope or faith, either in yourself or in the situation. Because this could literally be like you lack hope or faith in your own leadership, in your ability to defend yourself and preserve your resources. Keep going that way, then you maintain that illusion. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve more. Even though you have worries that are telling you, hey, wait a minute, maybe I need more. Okay, or in the past, maybe part of the reason, if you're asking about a past mystery, that you didn't get something was because you at the time didn't believe that you deserved more. Okay, you didn't fight for it enough. And that's not your fault, pile number 2. I don't say that as in, well, you should have fought for it more. How dare you? You lost out. It's all your fault. What I say is that more in the nature of it being kind of a small tragedy. In that if you had just believed in yourself more, if you'd had that hope or that faith, you could have avoided the stress, anxiety, and the illusion maintained that you weren't good enough. Or weren't, insert this thing here, to receive whatever this was. Okay. So, let's look at your other cards. We're going to glean some more details. We're going to actually look at the Citadel Oracle next. Excuse me. I'm trying to think for other situations, too. I haven't talked about relationships enough, really, with this, because I know some of you might be asking about, say, like a past relationship. In which case, if you're asking about someone else's intentions when it comes to a relationship that maybe didn't work out, it's very possible that they didn't have hope or faith in the relationship. But then it's like it would have worked out better than they would have expected, but they maintain the illusion that it wouldn't have, just to kind of save themselves the grief of thinking, oh, I made a wrong decision, not to keep going or not to keep having hope or faith in something. Let's see, the Sailor, which I always wonder why this is the element of earth and not water. You'd think Sailor would be water, but it is earth. Just like Pentacles here. New influences and wanderlust. Okay, so it's very possible, too, that if other people were involved in this mystery and you're asking why they did something that they did, part of it is because they wanted to wander around in some way. Okay. They thought that there was something better for them out there rather than where they were. Although, remember, we have the illusion as the outcome. They were wrong. Okay, but they thought something's better for me out there. There wasn't, but they thought so. Then, yes, new influences, too. It's like, so that might have also been, like, maybe other people were trying to convince them to go this way. Like, oh, yeah, that's totally the right way to go about it. That's totally the right thing that you should do. And they were influenced to the point of getting to a bad outcome, all right? Or if it's, too, like, maybe it was something about yourself. Maybe you wondered why you lost hope or faith in something. It might have even just have been, in a way, yes, a lack of confidence in self, especially if it was a lack of hope or faith in your own ability, but also an element of wanderlust, of I'm bored here. I want something new. Okay. Or say, you know, maybe you had a situation where your authority or leadership was questioned. Part of group dynamics with things that say, you know, workplaces and friend groups, etc., can be peer pressure from other people trying to influence other people because they want something out of it and you're in the way of the thing that they want. Now, I don't want to like say for all of you that it was like this big betrayal related thing, but for some of you it might have been where it was literally other people were being a new influence and having people wanderlust in terms of finding a new leader to follow. Okay. And which is interesting because, you know, we talk about sailors, right? Especially before modern things like obviously GPS, and I say this a lot when this card does pop up in my readings, is that we used to navigate using the stars. We would use astronomy. So, you know, ancient cultures like, you know, Polynesians, the Vikings, very, very good at seafaring. They used stars. They were masters at astronomy in terms of using it to navigate. And I bring that up because you have the North Star, I think, or at least a very bright star here in your leadership card. Like a sailor finding a new North Star to follow. So there was a little bit of a part of your answer here. There was or will be a shifting of what star to follow. Okay. Either other people or maybe even yourself will shift a North Star to follow. Okay. But that doesn't mean it's the right star to follow. Sometimes the right star to follow is the one that you've already been following all along. Okay. Bringing up the star again. I keep forgetting you literally have that as one of your cards. Sometimes it's good to stay with the star you've been following all along. Okay. And then let us look at your soul mirror oracle here. Excuse me. Then we have attention, resistant versus surrendered. And interestingly, we have her head is like a void, and she's got, it looks like almost koi fish around her head. Interesting, we have lots of fish in this reading too. We have, I don't know if they're necessarily koi fish in the sailor, but they have kind of those same really frilly fins. Frilly finned fish. I guess you'd call those koi technically. And attention is the key word. Interesting. It's like attention being diverted. Attention moved in a different way. We talked about that already with like the North Star having been changed. It's like attention was drawn off of you and turned somewhere else. I keep saying it's just that imagery of the star following a different star. A different true north. And two is surrendered, especially for those of you where this is a situation where maybe your authority was being questioned. Part of the reason why the illusion was maintained was because you did surrender in some way. You tried to be resistant. You tried to fight back against the pack of wolves, what we talked about with the Seven of Wands earlier. But reversed, it's like you lost the battle. Not of your own fault, pile two. I want to reiterate that. This is not a blame game here, but a lot of people in this situation, I think, would have given up. Because they're like, man, I just don't have hope or faith that these people will follow me anymore, okay? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? It's not your fault. You led the horses to the water. But that doesn't mean that they'll always drink, even if it's the wisest thing to do. To their own detriment. Because remember that illusion. You were the right leader. You were the right choice. The attention was supposed to be on you. But it's almost like you gave it up because maybe you even doubted yourself. Okay, same thing too if this is like you're asking why someone else did something. It's an answer of their attention got diverted by new influences and wanderlust. Okay. You needed more resources both internally and externally. And sometimes, unfortunately, in life, we're not given those resources that we need. But that doesn't mean necessarily that we dropped the ball, right? Pile two. That means other people dropped the ball. And so I think another prominent message coming through here from Spirit is what I'm hearing intuitively is not to blame yourself with this situation. Okay? I mean, that's a thing that, I think a lot of us struggle with is we always think when we're rejected, it must mean that we're trash, which, I mean, that sounds kind of an extreme way to put it. But we think of that, like when we get rejected by other people or rejected by a group of people, we think, well, if I have been thrown out, that must mean I am worth nothing. But people throw away things a lot, not knowing their value. Okay, what's that other saying? Let's see. One man's trash is another man's treasure. This is another quote that keeps coming up in the situation for you, pile 2, for me. I'm hearing intuitively is one man's trash is another man's treasure. So don't let this situation, even if it already played out and you're asking about the past, or if you're still looking to the future and waiting for this to play out, don't let this situation make you think that you're worthy of being thrown out. Okay? That's actually, now that it's just clicking right now with the 4 of Pentacles, it's about keeping something, reserving something. You're worth being kept. Okay? You're worth being held onto. Even if someone lets you go. Or even if someone did in the past let you go. Because like I said, someone's not saying something clearly here with the moon. Okay, someone's being foolish. Someone's trying to see things as what they really are not. Okay. So keep your confidence up. Keep your belief in yourself, pile 2. Okay? That's one prominent thing here at the end I'm hearing for you, especially intuitively. Believe in yourself here with that star reversed. I know it's cliche to say, oh, believe in yourself, but really, this is a very prominent message with this reading. Okay? So, beautiful. That's the end of your reading today, pile 2. I hope it helped you. I hope it resonated. And of course, I hope you liked it. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below your story. And I always say, when you comment, especially when, our topic here is tarot readings, a lot of us are coming together with, different issues that are bothering us. That's oftentimes what we do come to tarot readings is because we're bothered by something. We need some healing of some sort. So when you share your story and everything that's going on, pile 2, other people will see your story, especially with the shared pile, and you can gain insight from each other. Okay? You giving it to them, and vice versa. Maybe they can give insight to you because you've been in similar situations. Okay? It's a good way to connect. So I always recommend comment if you would like to. Of course, to subscribe if you have not done so. That helps Lone Pine Tarot keep the dream alive here, or I keep the dream alive, or you help me with that. I didn't word that very well, but you know what I mean, in providing more spiritual healing for people, as well as providing free readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome today to your Solving a Mystery Pick a Card reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the beautiful card of going forward for your pile leader. So we have the path moving through the meadow, going from an area of forest and fog towards clear skies and clear ways forward. Okay, so right off the bat already intuitively, I kind of feel like your mystery is something to do with very obviously gaining clarity, right? Moving from fog to light, but also something that will help propel you forward in terms of moving or in terms of movement towards a goal that you're trying to attain or you did in the past. If some of you are asking about a past mystery to be solved. So let's put your pile leader over here to the left to begin. And we're going to start with actually 2 tarot decks today. And I've been saying this to everyone today. I apologize in advance if I do sound a bit scratchy or coughy, especially when I breathe in deeply, because part of the reason we didn't have a reading this last Sunday from this upload is because I was sick. Oddly enough, in June, I got a really odd sickness. It almost felt like a flu, but it wasn't respiratory, except when I breathe in deeply, I cough. So, otherwise, though, I was quite fever-racked, and so that's why I'm a little under the weather today for our reading, but I wanted to make sure I didn't skip more than one day, so there we go, and let's draw from your other tarot deck, the Tarot of the Golden Wheel. Okay, 5 cards. And with these tarot decks, we're going to gain some more insight on the situation at hand. Oh boy, well, that was... Looks like 4 cards drawn already. We have... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We will take them. And then we have just 1 more to draw. And like I said, it'll help me gain, as the tarot reader, more insight on the situation at hand, as well as help us gain more insight on where this is going, or if it's a past question you're asking about where it went, maybe because you're asking how something turned out that you didn't see the result of. So first, let's look at your Pastoral Tarot. Now, I asked when I drew this mentally for your spirit to tell us, to represent where you are in the situation. So we have the 8 of Cups, and we have a depiction of, very fittingly, it almost kind of looks like the Dust Bowl that occurred in America, I think, back around the Great Depression, so around the 1920s, 1930s. Basically, all the crops failed, and so a lot of people had to leave because the land was just so fallow they couldn't even stay anymore, okay? And that's very... a perfect representation of the 8 of Cups is about emotionally moving on. You know, we put so much investment in something, but sometimes we just have to move forward. So how fitting, because look at the pile leader you were drawn to, moving forward. Literally, I need to carve a path forward away from where I am, because where I am is not the best place to be. Okay, I can't grow things here. I can't even draw any water, metaphorically speaking. Right? So I think the situation that you were in or currently are in is a place of, I need to get out of Dodge. I need to get out of here because I'm not happy, or it's not fruitful where I am. Okay? Or past tense, yes, you were in that situation of you needed to leave somewhere, especially emotionally, because that's what the 8 of Cups is all about, and the Cup suit in general is about emotional things or relationships, connections. So let us look at your tarot, and I think, because they fell out this way, I'm going to consider that as, because I usually draw from the back, so I'm going to consider this one the last one. So the very first one here is the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Now that makes a lot of sense with everything, okay? So I tend to call the first card my inciting incident, what started this all. This is a lack of an opportunity in terms of career, finances, home, or health, being the Pentacles Ace reversed. So just like we talked about with the desperation of and the lack of fruit of where you were, an Ace of Pentacles reversed is a perfect example of that too. Lacking opportunity, needing to move forward where you can find opportunity. So I don't know if, like, the start of the situation, it's like you lost a job, or this job wasn't enough, or this place that you were living in wasn't enough, or if it was a relationship, just for an example, pile 3, it's like this relationship was just not providing enough for you to survive continuing on with it, okay? Because that opportunity was denied to you through the luck of the universe, okay? Also, in terms of, you know, say there was another person involved too, it's like they could have been part of what was causing this lack, was that they were refusing to give you what you needed, all right? And then we have the 9 of Pentacles reversed, another pentacle, so we see more earth, right? Very earthy reading. Everything so far has been, although you have the 8 of Cups, which is water, but literally it's about a lack of water for the earth. And 9 of Pentacles reversed is not reaping the fruits of the labor that we've put in. It's putting the quarter in the gumball machine is the example I always like to use, and not getting the gumball out. So once again, denied opportunity. The hard work that you put in, you were not getting out of it what you needed, okay? Or if this is a present question, pile 3, or future thing you're asking about, what led you to this point are those emotions, those situations, okay? Then in the present we have, or at least the heart of the matter, the Devil. I feel trapped. The Devil is often a really good card to see as like a jail cell, a card of being chained, feeling like we're stuck somewhere, especially when it comes to toxic situations, or it comes to addiction sometimes is another word we can use for the Devil, things that are not good for us but keep us stuck there. either way, maybe a toxic relationship. It could also mean, and I mean that when I say relationship, both platonic or romantic, okay? It could have been toxic relationship with a family member, friend, literal romantic partner, okay? Oh, there goes my pen. I always have a pen down here to mark the the end edge of my camera here. So if you ever see a pen pop up, that's what it is. Yes, so being stuck, being trapped in some way. Okay, then we've got the Nine of Wands reversed is I'm tired. That's what that card means, especially reversed. It's a feeling of I'm going to give up. We often see this card as, it's interesting. It's not clear when you first glance at it, but when you think about where all those other rods are, or wands as they're known in this deck, you ask yourself, well, why are all those left there kind of haphazard? And he's the only one carrying his on because he's been through a battlefield. That's what this is. It's a battlefield. And on top of that, the sun is no longer shining. The water's coming down, the rain washing away what was there. Soaked to the bone and dead, tired. Okay. So definitely, no matter what situation you've been going through, or if this was in the past, pile 3, I get the sensation that this was not fun whatsoever, because you literally have not had a single positive card come up in terms of especially the emotional feelings surrounding the mystery you're asking about. So whatever this was, pile 3, it'll be different for every single one of you, of course, but my condolences, because this was not fun whatsoever. No wonder why you picked going forward, because you're like, I am done with this crud, whatever this was. Okay. But let's look at the outcome. We have the Lovers, which is fantastic as an outcome. We finally have a positive card. After all of this misery, we have an outcome that's happy. And the Lovers, of course, can represent a positive relationship, especially romantic. Now, that is one common interpretation of the Lovers, pile 3. But another interpretation of the Lovers can mean a choice, because you can see, very much like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith version of this deck, we have a man stuck between two different options. Does he go with the woman with black hair, or does he go with the woman with the white, or the woman with the white hair? Okay. And very interestingly, she has, the woman on the right has a cup, and the woman on the left has a scroll. Okay. So that can mean that maybe this choice is more emotional, but this one's more logical, right? It can also mean, oh, there's a snake down here too. I wonder what the snake represents. Interesting. Well, we often see snakes, sometimes as healing, okay? Sometimes we see snakes as deceptive things, right? Especially when we think about Abrahamic religion versions of snakes, like in the Garden of Eden, telling Eve to eat the apple, okay? So being careful with our choices. But in either case, though, no matter what, pile 3, the outcome I'm seeing is positive because it did come out upright. If you're looking for something in terms of relationships, that means a positive relationship is the outcome you're going to find, if this is present or future tense. Okay, your mystery. If this is past tense and it's related to relationships, okay, then that means that whatever you're asking about ended in a positive relationship. Okay, either for you or for someone else. If this is more about a choice of some sort, or it's not relationship related, then I would read the Lover's card more as the choice version of the interpretation of the card. And what that means for present or the future, for those of you that's your mystery, that means the end is you're going to get a choice to move away from all of this. You're going to get an opportunity, a choice to pick a path out to go forward, away from lack of opportunity, the lack of fruits of your labor, feeling trapped, etc. Not all this fun stuff, right? Or the not fun stuff, I should say. If this is a past mystery you're trying to solve, and it's related to, it's not related to relationships, that means it ended in someone making a choice. Okay. And it was a hard choice. That's another way we can interpret the Lovers. Because equally, these two different partners, he's very stuck between them. He's like, I don't know. They both seem like a great option to go with. Which lady do I fall in love with, right? Okay. So it was a not an easy decision, but it was a decision made to move away from where things felt fallow. Okay, so let's see if there's any other details here before we pull your oracle cards. Yeah, I mean, no wonder why you came to this reading, pile 3, because, I mean, this has not been fun places to be. Lack of opportunity, lack of fruits of your labor, feeling stuck, feeling tired, wanting to emotionally move on. And 2, I'm hearing for some of you, if part of your mystery is you're asking, why... I don't know why, but specifically this is coming out, so it might resonate with some of you, and that's why Spirit wants me to say it. For those of you asking why you've never been able to find a partner that clicked, or why you've never been able to find love, if that's the mystery you're trying to solve, it's because there was something waiting for you here in the future that you were meant to go for, or that was meant to be yours. That was just not ready with divine timing yet. And I know that's difficult to hear, because I know a lot, especially with these cards, you're probably like, well, why did I have to go through all this suffering? What was this? Why? Okay. But what Spirit is saying is don't focus so much on what happened in the past. Yes, emotionally process it. Don't deny your sadness, okay? I will never say that as a tarot reader, like, oh, just pretend you don't have any feelings and stuff them down and think about the positives, right? That's not how life works, okay? But I will say it helps to try to let go of the past, hence the 8 of Cups, of needing to emotionally move on to find better pastures. Just like that ability to make a choice, or maybe a good partner, okay? So you will find that forward momentum, okay? For those of you asking about present or future. Now let's grab some other cards. We'll see some maybe more details and maybe a little bit more about the outcome, or, of course, I'm reading for many potential different situations here, but in either case, we'll get some more details this way. Well, that was fast. This deck always likes to spit out cards quite quickly. We have the Fate with the element of fire, accepting help and guidance. Remember what I said for some of you? And I was like, I don't know why this is specifically coming out for some of you, but maybe some of you had asked a question about how come love never works out for me and I never find a good partner? And I said it's about divine timing, and then fate comes out. How fitting, right? But to accepting help and guidance. Fate being the path that you're supposed to walk. Fate is the thing that we walk on where choice doesn't necessarily matter, because we're supposed to get there. We're meant to be there, okay? And 2, I also think, too, of, especially because of the scissors and the thread being a part of the symbolism of this card, it makes me think of the Fates. I believe it was in Greek mythology. And whenever somebody was meant to, I think it was when they were supposed to die, the Fates would cut their thread. I think that was Greek mythology. Correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect. But, so it's once again, it's like that divine timing. It's like, well, the Fates know. It's out of our hands. It's something cosmic rather than something that we can control. Okay. So I'm also getting a lot from this reading, answers about, like, when fate comes up a lot. And a lot of times, too, when I have readings come forward about, a time of a lot of suffering that turns into something positive, and asking, well, why did I have to go through all of this? Oftentimes, pile 3, that's because it's a part of a life lesson you were supposed to learn, okay? So I'm hearing life lesson kind of resounding here a lot. I don't know if maybe this is, the mystery that you're asking about is something that you've struggled a lot with throughout life in general, about finding yourself in places that are fallow and trying to find greener pastures elsewhere, okay? Or places of being confused and lacking opportunity and having to find opportunity elsewhere. You almost kind of give me like a wanderer vibe of always having to seek the horizon to find the best place to be in terms of, resources, in terms of finances, relationships, things like that. Because that is just part of your fate. Okay. Although it's interesting because with accepting help and guidance as part of the keywords for the Fate card, it's almost saying that maybe you do things a little bit too solo. Maybe part of what was going on with all of this is because you didn't ask for enough help from others. Maybe you felt like you had to do it all on your own. So if you're asking for something in terms of present and future, well, even if you're asking about the past, I reiterate that. Or let me retract that. That's the word I want to use, not reiterate. Take advice into the future to ask for more help. Okay. Because that's another part of fate. You know, oftentimes we see fate as the chain holding us to a certain outcome we might not want. But fate can also chain us to outcomes that we do want. Okay, fate can be a guiding hand that catches us when we think we're going to fall. So, look for when you are given divine aid. Look for when you are given things that seemingly just fall into your lap. Just like this choice I'm seeing here in the future. Okay, I think that's part of your answer as well to this mystery. Not only, you know, can fate take away, which you've been feeling obviously so far, right? With these ouchie cards, right? Fate can also give. And sometimes fate takes away so that it can give later is what I'm hearing from Spirit to say. Okay. Also just some guidance too. Maybe there's guidance you haven't been hearing in the suffering that you've been going through. Because if there's anything we can do to at least give some sort of silver lining to the suffering that we've been through, is to try to extract lessons that we've learned. Even if that's the only thing that came from it. Well, I learned, you know, not to put up with situations where I was putting in all this investment and I was getting nothing out of it. I learned, for example, to move on faster when it seemed like things were getting rough and I needed to move to greener pastures. I learned, you know, if something is tiring me out, that's a sign that I need to move on faster. Things like that. Or maybe I need to look for opportunities that might not be where I am currently. Whatever the lesson is, that's another thing Spirit is saying, is to please think about what those situations taught you. Okay. And we have Curiosity with Bored versus Curious. What an interesting card to get for this reading. And very cutely, we have a little black kitten. And I always say when black cats come out, I'm not biased, but I do have a black cat, so I think they're especially cute. Curiosity, Bored versus Curious. And of course, with a cat being on here, I'm always drawn to the saying, curiosity killed the cat. And it's funny because we always just say the first half of that phrase, pile 3. But there's actually a second half of the phrase people forget. It's curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Okay, so, you know, I'm wondering why that's popping up. Let me think about that intuitively for a moment. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. You know, maybe part of your regret with what went on, pile 3, was that you explored something and you regretted even trying. But if you were to look at the way it satiated your curiosity in some way, it's that learning thing again. That silver lining of like, well, at least I gained a lesson of some sort. They keep emphasizing curiosity and learning. I don't know if you're an air sign, pile 3. I keep getting air sign vibes off of you because air signs tend to be very curious. You know, it's the element of, you know, areas about intellectuality and communication and truth and things like that. And it's interesting too because the cat is covering her mouth and her throat chakra. So communication, right? There's something that you need to be more curious about with this mystery too. If it's in the past, you need to ask more questions yourself about if there was anything that was satisfying to it. If this is a mystery you're trying to solve in terms of the present or the future, you need to be more curious about it in general, which I know sounds weird because if you're already asking what's the answer to this mystery, you're curious, right? But even more. So whatever your situation is with this mystery, try to impress even more into solving it in terms of what makes you curious about it. Why are you curious about it? Why do you want to know the answer to this mystery? That's another thing I'm hearing from Spirit. Why do you want to know? Ask yourself that, okay? Interesting. And then another message coming through, I didn't mention this with the fate too. If you're asking if you are going to get something or you're going to attain something, the fate coming out means that it is fated. I did kind of touch on that with the divine timing message earlier when it first popped out, but I wanted to also express that as well. So for those of you asking about present and future, you're fated to get something, okay? If you're asking about the past, it happened because of fate. That's the main answer to your question, okay? But Spirit is saying, well, wait, don't stop that there, okay? Keep asking more questions. Maybe wonder why it was fated. Why? Why? Keep asking why. Okay, but I will say that in the end it's going to, if it was in the past, it turned out better anyways. If it's the present or the future you're asking about, it's going to turn out better. You're going to make that progress that you're looking for, that forward momentum. You're going to move away from the land and that which does not grow to places that are more verdant and fertile. Okay, and whatever it is that you're seeking. All right. Very beautiful reading, pile 3. So that is what I will leave you with today. If you liked the video, if it helped you, and of course, if it resonated, please like the video itself. Please comment down below your situation and your story. As I always say, I find it very valuable to hear your story in the comments. Not so much for me, although of course I like to hear them, but I think for our community in general, because I think especially with people that share your pile, sometimes things that you might say or things that other people of your pile might say help gain insight that maybe even I didn't speak here in the reading. So of course, comment if you would like to and share your story about what happened with this mystery. And then too, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. As I always say, that helps support the dream of the channel, and keep it alive in terms of providing spiritual healing to people. It helps me support the dream of keeping this channel going alive too. Same thing too with helping me provide more free readings for both you and others in the future. It helps spread the channel's message more, the more subscribers there are, of course. And let's see. I'm trying to think what else I always mention at the end. I think those are the main things, but I do have our tradition where I say, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 3, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3.